Yeah, hello everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And once again, we're still on COVID-19. I think we'll be here for some time, and I'll be talking about the events of the last week. I generally do them daily, but as most people will probably guess, that it's been monopolised daily by an individual rather than all the stuff that's going on. So I was thinking about what to call this one. I was going to call it Death, Resurrection and Propaganda. I think that's about where we are at the minute. So, what about the death? What a very, very sad week for the UK and the rest of the world, but definitely for us, 4,000 people lost their lives this week that we know of. That doesn't include the people in nursing homes and who have died in probably other places. So, absolutely tragic that. Also, frontline medical staff, bus drivers, tube workers, probably shop workers, just loads and loads of people, and absolutely sort of dreadful for the families and dreadful for anyone that's involved with that, and I really feel for them. I'm pretty disgusted at the handling of it by the media, but exactly what I would expect, really. Do you know what I mean? We have made this week about the resurrection of Boris Johnson, the second coming of the Lord on Easter. What more can I say? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's interesting that the man who is responsible for basically the shit show that we're currently in, the worst death rate of any country in the world. I even know that the media still keep pointing to Trump and his 2,000 people dead. I think what people need to remember, very simple, and this is a propaganda bit, is America has 4 times the population of us, but only double the death rate. Now, I know there's not lots of clever people out there, but even you can work that out, that actually we are a lot worse. And yes, but we've spoke a lot this week about Boris and how he had the best medical care and the best people have flown in, and he had the top people around the country making sure that he was okay, and yeah, do you know what I mean? I think that must be great, except for people didn't ask if they looking after him, that means their hospitals that they work in are members of staff short, so the people who are going there are obviously having to pay the price. So there's a bit of a theme here, isn't there? Do you know what I mean? That when Boris and the establishment want something, they get it above everyone else. And I, as well people know, I have a real fucking issue with that. Do you know what I mean? They also said he was in an NHS hospital, and do not be fooled, people. Just because he's in an NHS hospital doesn't mean he's not private. Most of the private healthcare beds are in NHS hospitals. So it was interesting that he thanked the doctors and the nurses, but he didn't thank the NHS. That's probably because it wasn't the NHS that was looking after him, to be perfectly fair. So yeah, but he's on the mend, and all good for us. He can carry on. Probably, we can go again on this, I reckon. Do you know what I mean? But it's good being incommunicado when the shit is hitting the fan, and he has a bit of a thing. I remember we went on holiday when there was a vote in Parliament. He hid in a fridge. He wouldn't turn up for interviews. Do you know what I mean? I mean, the man is a fucking shyster. At best, he's a shyster. Do you know what I mean? But there you go. Obviously, the people love him, but yet again, lots of people have loved people who've killed lots of people. So I guess he's no different in that respect. So yeah. So what else is going on? Oh, okay. The propaganda. The media's been very interesting this week. Obviously, they are currently trying to take us. I think they must have got like the Goebbels playbook now, and actually seeing what is the best way to manipulate a population to hate each other and take it out on each other. So, we do the walking in the park thing, 3 people walking together. That's an absolute disgrace. They're responsible now for 10,000 deaths, blah, 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 blah. Unbelievable. You know what I mean? That constant division and looking at division. So the country people and the city people and the town people. So we are reenacting the Hitler Youth. Maybe we should just call it the Murdoch Youth. Maybe that would be better, or someone along there. The establishment youth now. Do you know what I mean? We already have our police state, so that's great. and so you know, everything is in place for this to enact itself out, you know, pretty well, I guess. But so they have made it all about Boris and not about the people, obviously, because one life is more important than 4,000 others, maybe. I don't know. Starting to sound familiar, this. And yeah, and then we have obviously the blame game. So we have the health secretary with Matt Hancock saying the reason that we haven't got enough PPE cannot be down to his fault, cannot be down to the fact that he hasn't ordered it, cannot be down to the fact that actually he knew he was going to need it and didn't do anything about it 2 years ago, cannot be down to any of them things. It's down to the people who are working in the front line and using too much of it. Now, anyone that goes on social media will know that that is the biggest crock of shit ever, because most social media pages have got Facebook pages and places like that where people are saying, we'll happily donate, we'll happily make for you. So, you know, but this is, you know, you're starting the process now of saying the reason people are dying isn't down to us, it's down to the failing of these incompetent human beings who are giving their lives on a fucking daily basis to try and save ours. Fucking hell, man, do you know what I mean? And people are just swallowing this shit by the fucking bucket load, by the absolute fucking shed load, and go on, fucking Boris, go on, Matt, you're doing a fucking good job. You know what I mean? And then they come out with these shitty statistics. We think the infection rate is falling. How can you know the infection rate is falling? You've done 10,000 tests a day. So you've done 100,000 tests, right? Okay, so you've done 100,000 tests, yeah? Most of them are done in hospital. There's 450,000 frontline workers, so you wouldn't even know. There's 60 million people in the country. So how the fuck do you get us to believe that somehow the infection rate is falling? Other than you've locked us all up, except for the 3 or 4 million people that go to work, including the ones who are builders and Amazon workers and off licenses and laundry people and Holland and Barrett because they're needed, and all the other fucking people who are obviously not really that needed, but you know, good transmitters, to be fair, like low level transmitting, so we can transmit just enough to keep it going, so it can work its way through society in the herd immunity, but not enough that it kills tens of thousands, because then they're being deep fucking shit. And maybe we will become so pissed off that we do something about it. So if we have 10 loss to 25,000 deaths, that's far better than one lot of 250,000. And that is the plan. People haven't worked out yet. That is the fucking plan. So the media are down on, what are media doing? Interesting, the media doing. Have you noticed they've changed tack? Now it's starting to question when's everything going to be restrictions are going to be lifted. Well, look, let me tell you something, right? If they are starting to change an agenda, right, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get you to believe, right, that this is the best way to go. Right? Now, they do this in all sorts of ways, right? But this is one of the first things. So then they build a consensus of opinion around people, and then they motivate them. And then what they do is, then if it all goes tits up, they go, well, you lot fucking asked for it. So, you know, this is bog standard, you know, 101 manipulation propaganda, right? So what they're going to do is, I would have guessed, over the next few weeks, they're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. The government going, oh, no, we're going to do it safe. However, they will start lifting restrictions because they don't have an out clause, right? Other than spend all of our money and eventually we all run out. They don't have an out clause. They need an out clause because they're sociopathic people, right? And they think it's more important that they get their money and keep their businesses than whether we live or die. Especially, do you know what I mean? You know, some of the people who are promoting this. So what they're going to do is, I think, over the next few weeks, they will continue to pursue this. They will put pressure on us to buy into it. We will start getting angry and do one or two things. Either start ignoring the restrictions, so then they say the best thing we can do is lift it, or they can basically become more draconian. Either one, they win. See, if they can either look tough, which is great, or they can look like we've asked for this and that's exactly what we've done. So that's brilliant. So I guess that is their next move, I would have thought, as in the coming weeks. What do I predict happening with the death rate? Well, the death rate will obviously fall, which is a great thing. You know what I mean? Boris Johnson will make he'll make a comeback that will actually make Lazarus proud of. He will walk down Downing Street as a hero. saying he beat the disease with you, for you, and like you, when he didn't do any of them things. I would question that he ever had it personally, but you know, that we'll leave out there for conjecture. Just because of the stuff that they said. They said they treated him for the symptoms of corona. They did not say he had corona, which I find really interesting. Suddenly all the tests will turn up, because they need to turn up for the next round when they let us all out, and then we all get reinfected and we go for another 20,000 deaths, and then they can look like, because the death rate was slightly lower, they've done a fantastic job. And they've tested everyone this time, and we learned the mistakes and we got it right, so we were there on your side. And so, you know, then we've only lost 40,000 people, so that's okay. But yeah, so that's where I think our current direction of travel is, based on what information they're putting out there and how they're trying to you know, twist and manipulate this, because that's their plan. That is always their plan. Their plan is very simple. How can we make capital gain out of everything? A couple of other things I think that will happen very quickly. It'll just be a matter of time before they say that paper money transmits the disease, so they remove all paper money from circulation, because that's a great way of controlling everyone. And you know, on the back of that, that will, you know, basically, yeah, you know, will take a lot out of the system for a lot of people. And then the other thing is that I think they'll do is they will bring out, the reason they want the antibody test above everything else is very simple. They don't want the antibody test to find out if you can go back to work. They want the antibody test so they can make biometric ID cards. This has been on the cards for decades. They've tried and tried and tried and never got it through. But they now can do that with this. So what they will do that, and then look into the future would be very simple. They will then, at that point, as they privatise the NHS, which they will at the end of this, because they'll say we can't afford to keep it. It was great, but obviously these people deserve better and they'll get more money in the private sector, so let's privatise it. What it means is the insurance company will have access to all that information. So you can have a generation of people who will die because they won't be allowed insurance. Probably the ones who are currently in their 20s and 30s, and the older ones. And the other part they're going to do is they will, when they lift restrictions, they lift it by age group, based on that. What happens is that the age groups will basically they'll say are less susceptible, which is actually possibly true, but not overtly. So what will happen is they need to come up with their new round of supporters and fascists. The old are going to die. They knew that. Their base was dying. They knew that. Brexit and the nationalism flag only flies for so long. They know that. So they need the next 30 years of power. And what a better way to do it than if you let all the people under the age of 35 out first. There's a jobs market that needs to be filled. They get all the jobs, right? So what happens is they think the government has done them a real good turn and done really well. House prices will crash so they can buy houses cheap, but the people who will suffer will probably be the people over 35 and 40. So yeah, that is where I believe this will go. So there is the end of it. There is the propaganda, the resurrection, and the death. And yeah, I will keep scouring the media to seek them out, and the government to call them out, and we will see where we end up very soon. Take care, God bless, stay safe, bye.